The RPG genre has long been my favorite video game genre, and one of my favorite things about the Super Nintendo is its large selection of great RPGs. One of my favorite RPGs for Super Nintendo, and in general, is Final Fantasy IV, one of my favorite entries in the Final Fantasy series and the subject of this video. The premise of Final Fantasy IV is that at the beginning of the game's main protagonist, a dark knight named Cecil Harvey, is the leader of the Red Wings, an elite air force of the Kingdom of Baron. The game starts with Cecil and the Red Wings returning to Baron after stealing the water crystal from the town of Mysidia. Cecil is concerned because the townspeople did not fight back as he and the Red Wings stole the crystal. At Baron, Cecil questions the king about the Mysidia mission. In response, the king strips Cecil of command of the Red Wings. Sometime later, Cecil learns that a man named Golbez has taken over command of the Red Wings and is trying to steal the other elemental crystals in the world. Thus, Cecil makes it his mission to stop Golbez from stealing the crystals and uncover the truth about Baron. Now I would like to talk about the gameplay. The combat is smooth and well-paced thanks to the active time battle system. To those who don't know about the active time battle system, how it works is that each player character and enemy character has a gauge that fills up as time passes and at a speed depending on a number of factors. When a character's gauge is full, that character can perform an action. As a result, the active time battle system adds strategy, depth, and realism not offered by turn-based systems. Not that there aren't turn-based RPGs that I enjoy. A sweet bonus of the battles is the well-drawn enemy sprites and party character sprites, which look good even by today's standards and look much better than the sprites used outside of battle. I personally think those sprites haven't aged well. Cecil's party frequently changes throughout the game, and this adds variety to the game. Each party is useful in the mission or missions in which it is used, and fits the story context in which it is used. There are really only two problems I have with the gameplay. One is that changing equipment can be quite slow. The other is that there is only one storage space for items, which means battle items, unequipped weapons, and important items are stored in the same place, making the inventory easy to fill up. Most of the Final Fantasy games I've played have excellent music, and Final Fantasy IV is no exception. Easily one of my favorite things about the game is the music, and the soundtrack is one of my favorite video game soundtracks. The standard battle music is catchy, heroic, and never gets old. I love the boss music even more, but I'll go more into that after I have talked about the story. I also love the songs that play during cutscenes. They add the right amount of emotion and go well with the characters and dialogue in the scenes. Other songs I love are the Cave Song for being a good fit for exploring dark and mysterious underground locations, the Mountain Music for being good music for climbing or scaling tall and daunting locations, and all of the map songs. I especially love the song that plays as the party pilots an aircraft called the Great Whale near the end of the game. Now I would like to talk about the story. The dialogue unfortunately was not well localized for the English Super Nintendo version of the game. The resulting script has a lot of confusing wording or syntaxes and a lot of mistakes. For example, at one point Tella is incorrectly referred to as Edward's father. I won't go into any other examples, but if you are interested in learning about some of the translation errors, I recommend the Legends of Localization article on Final Fantasy IV. Despite the problems the dialogue in this version has, it is still easy to understand what is going on in the game, and what goes on in the game is a deep, emotional, and thought-provoking story with complex, deep, and likable characters, playable or non-playable. My favorite playable characters include Cecil, Payne Highwind, a dragoon and Cecil's best friend, Rosa Farrell, a white mage and Cecil's love interest, the Sage Tella, and Baron's master airship engineer and the Cid of the game, Cid Polendina. I think Golbez is a great villain due to his intimidating appearance, his ruthless personality, and his use of mind control to control Cain, to turn Cain against his best friend Cecil, and do other evil things. Golbez's theme is great and goes well with his appearance and personality. I also love his 4 elemental fiends. In this version they are named Mylin of Earth, Kainazzo of Water, Balbalis of Air, and Rubicund of Fire. I love the character development in the game. My favorite examples of such include Cecil overcoming his trial on Mount Ordeals and his past to become a paladin, my favorite version of Cecil. Other character development scenes I love include Prince Edward overcoming his grief and becoming brave, and Rydia overcoming her trauma accidentally caused by Cecil and Cain early in the game to cast fire needed to melt ice blocking the entrance of Mount Hobbs. I would now like to talk about the boss battles. I love the boss battles in the game due to the variety of bosses in terms of fighting style and design, the great designs of the bosses, and most of all, the music. I love the common boss theme more than the standard battle theme, which I already love, because I find the common boss theme to be more intense and more heroic. Some of my favorite boss battles are the ones against Golbez's 4 elemental fiends, because of the personalities of the fiends themselves, the variety of their battles, and their battle theme, which I also love more than the standard battle theme. The theme goes well with the fiends' personalities and their powerful and intimidating attacks. Now I would like to talk about the final dungeon and final battle of the game. First, for context, the Earth in this game has 2 moons, its natural moon and a moon inhabited by people called Lunarians. One of the Lunarians, Futsoya, helps Cecil at one point and is the brother of Kluya, who is the late father of Cecil and Golbez. On the subject of Golbez, the only reason Golbez is evil is because his mind is influenced by an evil Lunarian called Zemus. After Fusoya frees Golbez of Zemus's mind control, Fusoya and Golbez go to the Lunarian moon to fight Zemus, and not long after, Cecil's party flies the Great Whale to the same moon to fight Zemus. On a related note, I love the scenes that play as the Great Whale flies between the Earth and the Lunarian moon, and I think those scenes use Mode 7 well. Now I will talk about the final dungeon of the game, which takes place below the surface of the Lunarian moon and which consists of the lunar subterrane and the moon's core. I love the dungeon because it's challenging, encourages exploration with its multiple paths and multitude of treasure, and has great music. On the subject of music, the song in the lunar subterrane goes well with the beginning of a dangerous, heroic, and conclusive mission, while the song in the core goes well with the end of the final mission coming up and creates a heroic and hopeful feel. The party the player uses in the final dungeon is great, both because it is a well-balanced party and because the personalities of the 5 characters go well together. I will now give context for the final battle. Golbez and Fusoya defeat Zemus, and Zemus's death leads to the appearance of a stronger being named Zeromus, formed from Zemus's hatred. Zeromus effortlessly defeats Golbez and Fusoya and overpowers Cecil's party. Cecil's earthbound allies gather at the Tower of Wishes and send wishes to Cecil's party, healing the party. I love the Wish cutscene because of the fitting use of the Final Fantasy theme, the Earthbound allies being able to help the party despite the distance, and Tella's spirit helping heal the party. The final battle against Zeromus is my favorite battle in the game because of Zeromus's daunting and imaginative appearance and his epic battle theme, my favorite song in the game. It goes well with Zeromus's appearance, Zeromus's attacks, the background of the battle, and a pivotal battle. The battle ends in a satisfying way, with flashing lights, thunderous sounds, and a shaking Zeromus sinking out of the screen. I will now talk about the ending. I love that Cecil acknowledges Golbez as his brother, and that the 2 brothers are able to part on positive terms despite Golbez's evil actions. I am also glad that Fusoya allows Golbez to stay on the Lunarian moon. Golbez thinks he doesn't belong on Earth anymore due to his evil actions, and he wants to learn more about the Lunarians, since his father Kluya was Lunarian. Being allowed on the moon means Golbez has a place to stay, and his interest in Lunarian culture can be satisfied. I love the epilogue scenes that show the lives of Cecil's various allies following the defeat of Zeromus, and the music that plays during the epilogue sequence. The music gives a joyous and victorious feeling and is a nice change of pace after the tension and bittersweetness on the moon. The story ends in a satisfying way with Cecil and Rosa marrying and being crowned King and Queen of Baron in a beautiful ceremony. I love the credit sequence for the beautiful music and for the space setting, which works well because of the Lunarian moon and its importance to the story. Overall, Final Fantasy IV continues to be an excellent entry in the Final Fantasy series and an excellent RPG in general. The English Super Nintendo version, despite its poor localization, still manages to deliver an excellent and emotional story with complex and likable characters, and the deep battle system and excellent soundtrack continue to hold up. That concludes my review of Final Fantasy IV. Take care.